I'm Chef Mark Siebert. I'm the Culinary Program Manager here at Lackawanna College. We have a number of different degrees to offer here at Lackawanna College. We have Culinary Arts, Baking and Pastry Arts, Hospitality Management, and we have a bachelor's degree in Restaurant and Food Service Management. We do have a student-run restaurant here at the college. It's called 409 on Adams Avenue. It's open to the general public, and these students cook all the food prepared from appetizers to desserts. Today, Chef Zapone will be preparing one of the items that will be featured on our fall menu.
Well, I'm excited because I'm here with Krista Zapone, and Krista, we're going to make a really cool dessert today, right?
Yes,
what are we
are.
doing?
We're doing a harvest apple cheesecake, and this is great for the fall.
All right, well, let's get started.
So the first component we're going to make is a pumpkin bread. Okay.
All right.
First, all of our ingredients are here. We have our baking powder mixed with our bread flour and pastry flour. First, we're going to sift that together. It's very important when a recipe says to sift, you want to make sure that you sift it. Don't skip this part, okay? If there's anything mixed in with your flour, it gets it out of the flour, and also it makes the flour nice and light. Okay, so first we're going to put our pumpkin puree into our bowl. After that, we're going to place our egg, our salt, and all of our spices. So we have cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg, and of course, our granulated sugar. So we're gonna mix this on low speed just until all of those ingredients come together really nicely. You want the pumpkin puree to look really nice and smooth in the end. So after that, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna slowly add your oil. Once the oil is mixed into the pumpkin puree ingredients, you wanna go ahead and add all your flour.
All right.
We're gonna start that on low speed because you don't want the flour flying up in your face. At this point, we can go ahead and add all of our raisins, and we can go ahead and start our mixer again on low speed. We only want to mix it for a couple seconds just until those raisins are mixed into the pumpkin bread really nice and evenly. We don't want the raisins to break down at all. Now I'm going to go ahead and put all of my pumpkin bread into my cake pan. Now we're going to put this into a 350-degree oven. We're going to set the timer for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to check it to see if when we touch it, it springs back.
Gotcha.
Okay? Next, we're going to make the linzer dough. So first, when you're making linzer dough, you want to start with the creaming method. And what that means is you want to start with the butter and the sugar. Now, after the butter and the sugar has creamed for about 5 minutes, we're going to stop the mixer.
All right.
We're going to add your eggs and your vanilla extract. We want to mix it on low speed until it becomes nicely incorporated. And at this point, your batter is going to look a little separated, and that's normal. Next, we want to go ahead and start sifting our cake flour, our ground cinnamon, our cake crumbs, and our baking powder. So once all of our dry ingredients are sifted, we're now going to add that to our bowl. And once all of those dry ingredients become incorporated, we're going to add our finely crushed hazelnuts right at the end. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this in plastic wrap, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for probably about 25 to 30 minutes, just until the dough gets nice and hard, because this is a very, very soft dough. So if I went to go roll this out right now, the dough would get all over my rolling pin, all over the table, and it would become a big mess. So right now, while we're at the stove, we're going to be making our poached apple compote. We're just going to take our 2 sheets of gelatin, and then we're going to just put them in our cold water for 5 minutes. Now we're going to go ahead and add our apples that I previously diced, very small. Put on your flame, low heat, add your apple cider. Now your apples are going to start to poach in this liquid. So we're going to put our lemon in there, a quarter of our lemon. We're also going to add our cinnamon stick and our sugar. We're going to turn off our flame. We are going to take our gelatin out of our blooming solution. With sheet gelatin, you want to make sure that you squeeze out all of the water. Okay, so we're going to mix that right in. So at this point, we're going to take out our lemon, and we're going to also take out our cinnamon stick. And now I'm going to pour the apple compote right into my square dish. And then it's ready to go right into the freezer.
Coming up next.
Now we're going to be making a pumpkin cheesecake mousse. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Now we're going to be making a pumpkin cheesecake mousse, okay?
Oh, nice.
So the first thing that we want to do is whip the heavy cream. While we're waiting on the whipped cream, we're going to go ahead and get our next step ready to go. First, in a different KitchenAid bowl with a paddle attachment, we want to go ahead and add our sugar, all of our spices. We have cinnamon, cloves,
A little bit of cloves.
nutmeg, and ginger. We're also going to be adding a little bit of salt.
Salt, all right.
We're also going to place our vanilla extract into the bowl and all of our cream cheese. We're going to bloom our gelatin in our very cold water. Again, we're using gelatin sheets. We're going to let it bloom in our cold water for about 5 minutes. We're going to place that off to the side, okay? Now we're just going to place our whipped cream into the refrigerator, okay? We don't want it to get warm because then all of the work that we just did by incorporating air into our heavy cream is going to deflate,
All right.
okay? We're going to start whipping up our cream cheese with the paddle attachment. And if you don't properly mix the cream cheese with the rest of your ingredients, you're going to end up with a lot of cheesecake clumps, and we call those flavor buds. So you really want to make sure that you're scraping down the bowl constantly when you're making cheesecake. All right, so once our cream cheese is mixed really well with the rest of our ingredients, we're going to go ahead and add our pumpkin puree. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix this on low speed, just until the pumpkin puree becomes incorporated in with our cheesecake mousse. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky part, okay? Basically what we're going to do is we're going to temper our gelatin into the rest of our mixture, okay? Because if we added our hot gelatin into our mixture right now, you're going to end up having gelatin clumps in your batter,
all right.
okay? So the one way to avoid that is to take a little bit of your batter and you're just going to very slowly just mix it in. And all this is doing is equalizing the two temperatures. Okay, now that we tempered it, we're going to add that. All we're going to do now is we're just going to mix the gelatin into the cheesecake mixture just for a couple seconds. So now we're going to mix the whipped cream that we've previously mixed into our cheesecake batter. And what you want to do is basically the same thing as we did when we were putting our gelatin in. We're going to temper our cheesecake mixture into our heavy cream first, and then we're going to add it all into the cheesecake batter.
Super.
Okay?
And it's time to assemble, right?
Right.
All right.
So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the linzer dough cookies right at the bottom of our molds. Make sure that it's centered in there. All right, once that's centered, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a little bit of cinnamon ganache on the top of that linzer cookie. Use the back of your spoon and spread that ganache out till it's nice and even. All right, so now we're going to get started with our next layer. We're going to go ahead and cut our pumpkin bread, and we're going to use the same cutter as we did for our linzer cookie. And if you want your layers to be thinner as well, you can go ahead and cut your cake in half again.
Right.
Okay. So our next step is cutting out the spiced compote that we made previously that has been sitting in the fridge for probably about a half an hour now, okay?
All right.
And then we're going to go ahead and finish off our cake with our pumpkin cheesecake mousse. And we're just going to go ahead and smooth the top so that it's nice and even, nice and flat. And we're just going to go ahead and put this in the freezer for about a half hour to 45 minutes until it's nice and solid. And then we're going to pour a spiced mirror glaze right over top of our dessert. This is going to make it really nice and shiny, okay? And it's really going to make that dessert pop.
Chef, this dessert is magnificent.
Thank you.
It's so beautiful. You're welcome. Thank you so much for showing us how to create it. And I know perhaps maybe you're inspiring a lot of folks that may want to learn how to be a chef or a pastry chef here at Lackawanna College. So how can they do that?
Well, Lackawanna College is down in the center of Scranton. If you're interested in the baking and pastry program or even the culinary arts program, you can call our admissions department here at Lackawanna College, and they can start giving you a lot of information on how to start that process here at Lackawanna.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again for sharing this information and showing us how to create this beautiful dessert.
You're welcome.